Hello and welcome to Enrichment on the Go. I'm Tanya Lofty and I'm here with Miss Keyanna Williams. Thank you for joining me on this evening.
Thank you for having
today.
me.
Yes, it's always my pleasure. So we're going to be talking about how to teach your child conflict resolution. Let's see. So the best way to teach your child conflict resolution. Model the behavior. What you want to see is what you're going to have to do. If you want your child to be able to manage life, because listen, it's called life. And things come, things go. I've been a parent now for, almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a shot. Shots fired. But I have enjoyed and am still enjoying my journey. It has not always been easy. And parents, and I really like to talk to parents about this because, your child is really a gift. And I know it may not have been easy when you had them. It may not have been what you were expecting when you had them. The timing may not have been what you were expecting. It really just may not be what you were expecting. But I want you to know that your child is still a gift. You were a gift. And so if we look at it that way, it's easier when the hard times come or the challenging times come. Mm-hmm. Because the challenging times are coming. All right. There's gonna come the time, especially, I've raised my children, and even in the program, we want children to be independent, right? So that independence at some point, they're not going to agree with you. They may have their own, belief or stance on an issue. Okay, but what we want to do is always talk to our children, because if they're still in the home, they may not always have the same stance as you, but we have boundaries and rules and guidelines in this house. There's nowhere you can go where there's never going to be rules, boundaries, or guidelines. Run a red light and see what happens. Run it 20 times, you will no longer have a license. It's the same concept. Mm-hmm. So what are we going to do, and how are we going to work through whatever it may be, right? So conflict resolution means that we are not agreeing on something, or there's something that needs to be worked out. Maybe it's not even that you don't agree. Something needs to be worked out. And if we don't come to a resolve, nothing's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And having your child understand that concept is going to take them farther than any book, mm-hmm. academically, because they will be able to critically think. And we have to get your children to critically think. I remember one time in our summer program, we had an issue with a racial issue. And do you remember this? And we had gone to the pool. You had taken them to the pool. And one of the children, one child was African American and one child was Hispanic. Well, the Hispanic child identified as Caucasian. And they were at the pool, and she said, "Oh, I don't need lotion." Remember that?
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
I don't need lotion. And these children were like almost going to middle school, I believe. Mm-hmm. So they were about maybe 11, mm-hmm. 11, something around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And that time you coming up on a vicious time. Middle school can be very vicious, in high school, right? And so this child said, you told me the situation, and you were like, I need you to handle this. And so I brought, did I bring them together? Not initially. I don't think I did. I brought the one child in, and I had a conversation. I said, hey, what, I know you all went, and I've done this in my program with all children, because what we're trying to do is get them to critically think and have empathy, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, hey, what happened? I understand there was a challenge at the pool, and so the African American child was very kudos to the parent for instilling such security in the child to know who they are. Mm-hmm. And so because the child said, something to the fact, oh, I'm fine, I know who I am, or I'm fine with putting on lotion. All right. And so I said, okay. So then I talked to the other child, and I said, hey, I understand you had a challenge. Mm-hmm. And so I said, what happened? I said, you said something. Now, mind you, they were supposed to be friends. They were in our summer program, but they went to school together, and they were supposed to be friends. Okay. And so she says, I said, hey, what happened? You made a comment about not needing lotion to this child. And I said, well, everybody has dry skin. And the child looked at me like, I said, do you get dandruff? And the child said, yes. I said, that's dry skin. It's not, you don't put lotion in your hair, but you put oil because your scalp is dry. That's skin. Your scalp is skin. So what I was trying to do is show the child that because there's a difference, or because you all are different, doesn't mean that there's still not a connection, or that you all that it doesn't mean just because you don't put lotion on doesn't mean that your skin still doesn't get dry. I was trying to get the child to think outside of themselves and make the child see it from a different perspective. Because if they don't see it from, remember, we've talked about this before, even with conflict resolution, children have biases as early as 3 and 4. So I had to work through that. And I said, I want you to think about that, especially if you said this is your friend, you all need to have it. So I called them together, because you don't ever want to embarrass the child. You understand? I'm not trying to, parents, you don't want to embarrass the child. That's not going to help. That it really is not. It's not going to help the situation. You're trying to show them empathy and how to resolve issues, and even understanding each other's differences. Right. And that it's okay to have, you're different. If we're looking at each other, we don't look the same. Right. Even if they, I have one son who's has more melanin than the other. They're completely completely. And yes, they have the same mom and dad. They've been asked that question. They don't. Some people didn't even know they were brothers. So my point in saying all of this is that you really want to make sure that you're creating, where they can resolve conflict, because they have to learn to resolve the conflict, right?
And just see the world. I feel like, especially at a young age, and then as they're growing older, they are coming out of their egocentric phase. They are looking outside of themselves. So at such a young age, it is their world. Absolutely. And you're just living in it.
Absolutely.
So when conflict does arise, and also conflict is not a bad term. I think that a lot of people are, they aren't like proud to actually have themselves in a situation that has conflict, or just just find themselves in conflict. But we are all unique. We are gonna find ourselves in conflict at one stage or another.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that
absolutely,
and I think that like I can honestly, if I make a list of people I have been in the most conflict with, a child is probably somewhere on that list because of just like their mind isn't, they're not thinking about, oh, my friend, how they feel and things like that. They are thinking about me, and
myself,
and it's developmentally appropriate for them to think that way.
Absolutely.
And but through modeling the behavior, especially when, if let's say in the home, conflict is handled through yelling or
punching a wall,
cursing, or it's not even handled. It's just, you do your thing, I do my thing.
That's good. Good.
It really shows when they are in situations at school or if they're at daycare. It shows what they know about conflict resolution when they get into a situation with a peer.
I think that's really good what you said, because when I think about that, it does show. And if no one, like you said, you do your, I do my thing. So that's when you see a lot of times where the child isn't able to speak up for themselves as well, or they choose not to. And so one thing I through observations and parents, these are things you can do at home. You're all, and I want to keep, I'm going to say it one more time. What do you see? Just take an introspective look, sit back. Okay, are we fine like this? Do we need to change things? It doesn't, just because you may have grown up not dealing with conflict, or I don't want to say it's a way to resolve it and being amicable. You understand? But if you've never dealt with that, or the way you dealt with it is you run away, or you don't address it, or you yell all the time, did it get resolved?
Or you're
authoritative.
Yeah, like you're just always running the show. Which style was that?
That's authoritative.
Yeah,
the authoritarian. Well, no, it might be authoritarian.
Yeah,
but that's not going to get it.
Yeah, and you are always saying, even though there's a conflict, my way is,
that's bad.
Yeah. Or because, I said so. Now, in some situations,
absolutely,
as the parent, you
authoritarian,
have to,
is the detached and controlling.
Yes.
Yeah. You can, but what you could say is, this situation is not this situation, because that means that it's this particular thing. This situation is not up for discussion.
My mom used to say non-negotiable.
But I like either way.
And I used to be like,
but non-negotiable means that we're not going to talk about it, or it's not up for discussion. But I do like non-negotiable, because if you say this is not up for discussion, it depends on where you are in your where your child is in their development, and how you all have been communicating in the home. So that may work, because I've said to my child, this is not going to work out well. If you keep doing it, this is not going to work out well. But for children when we're teaching or things of that nature, we're trying to get the child to understand that their behavior, again, we're guiding. I keep saying that. So and this goes back to effective communication. All right. Because they're essential to a healthy family environment. You all may not agree. I remember,
you may not came from one.
No, that's good. But my husband didn't, and then I don't know. I got whatever I wanted, pretty much. Don't say a word. But but we had to come together, but anytime you are in doing something with someone outside of yourself, you're going to have conflict resolution. There's no way because you're not always going to see eye to eye. So it doesn't matter if it's your child, but anytime there are two people You are not going to agree on every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see how we can resolve this. Now, that may mean we need to terminate, sever this relationship. This may mean that not you can't sever your relationship with your child. Let me be very clear.
I was like, wait.
No, that's not what I meant. What I'm saying is you may have to teach your child that if a situation is unhealthy for them in regards to a friend or someone who's trying, that's what I'm referring to, parents.
Oh, yeah,
please,
yes,
please.
Yes.
I'm not saying, so because you have to teach your child life skills. These are life skills. Conflict resolution, and I don't know if we've ever looked at it quite like that. It's a life skill. So, and if you're not an effective communicator, you need to practice listening.
Yeah.
Listen to what your child is saying.
Actively listening.
Active listening. Because your child could say, "Mom, you never hear me. I don't feel like you listen to me." So that means you're not actively listening. Okay, so what are you saying to me?
Or even it could be like if your child is talking to you and you're washing the dishes. I know I was the type of child, I used to say, "I'll wait till you're done."
Oh, that was good.
Yeah. My mom used to say, like, look at me like, little girl. But I would literally tell her that. I was like, if I need to talk to her, I would say, "I'll wait till you're done." Like, I need to make sure, like, I need eye contact. And I think that's why communication is good for me now. Because even in certain situations, even in my classroom as a teacher, if I'm talking to a child, I'm like, "Where are your eyes?"
Oh, this is good, parents. And I don't know, I'm so glad you brought this up. Okay, so you're the adult. You're taller than the child, right? So you're always, first of all, you're taller. You know, they have to do what you say. You're providing. You're doing all of this. You're it. And so sometimes parents, like she said, you might have to turn off this. You may need to stop washing the dishes. What would it take for you to take 2 to 5 minutes? Because it could be something that's detrimental to their life. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that something, what they're talking about is not important, but I'm talking about where it could be life-threatening, right? Because there's always signs. It's just, are we watching? Okay, so.
Oh, yeah.
What would it take you to give your child those 5 minutes? Or, you know, I know we talked about this before, where you said just turn the radio off in the car and ask your child how their day was. That means you all have each other's undivided attention, right? So let me get back to what I was saying. So you're always talking over the child, right? Have a seat. Eye level contact with the children. And that's something that we do.
They love that too.
They love it because that means, oh wow, you are paying me all this attention. And so we have to get eye level with the children, or I'll get down on my knees. I was thinking about that right now, but get down on my knees, and I'll say, "Hey, what's wrong?" Or I may be sitting in the chair, right? But I'm still now eye level to the child. Or you could pick your child up, put them on your lap, and now you all are eye level, right? So, hey, what's wrong? Well, I wanted the toy and I can't have the toy. Okay, I understand that you wanted the toy, but you can't have the toy. But what are we going to do about that? Because at this moment, you can't have the toy. Well, I really want the toy. I understand what you're saying, but at this moment, we have to get ready for dinner. Let's discuss. Maybe you can have the toy later, or maybe you'll have to have the toy another day or another time.
Yeah, I think that also goes along with teaching them. I want to say compromise, but also how to work together. Because if you are having a conflict with someone, you also need to understand the resolution is, where can we coexist in this disagreement? How can you still stick to your values and your belief, but we come to like a common understanding? And I think we also have to remind our our students and our kids that you are not always going to agree on every little thing. And when you don't agree, this is what you can do to help you. You know, you don't have to, a resolution doesn't mean just agreeing to their side.
Exactly.
You don't, at the end of the resolution, the goal isn't just to persuade another person to think like you.
That's good.
Good. Like it's literally, how can we come to an understanding? And an understanding doesn't necessarily mean you have to agree with me at the end, but you have your perspective, I have my perspective, but we're still, playing together. We're still friends, and things like that. And I think that also that sometimes when we are modeling this behavior and we are showing our little ones what to do, when we were talking about vocabulary, like when we talk about just silently walking away, like we have to say, what, the steps of this,
That's good, because you're showing them and you're modeling
verbal.
Yeah, you have to tell them. So I know when you were talking, it made me think about, okay, let's say, and again, you have to know what's developmentally appropriate. And so, 3 and 4 year olds, or more so, let's say 4 year olds they want to kind of control what's going on more than, but they do it through their words. So if you don't play with me right now, I'm not going to play with you later. I've seen this all the time.
Yes.
Right? And the 4-year-olds, they're so savvy, right? So they're whispering like I can't hear them. Yeah. I had one, he was, oh, hey, no, come here. If you don't do this, no, you need to do it like this. And it's like, wait a minute. You can't control how somebody does something, right? Especially, I've seen this throughout my tenure when they're playing, okay? And so you're not my friend anymore.
Or so-and-so didn't want to play with me, they're not my friend.
So, or I've seen where, because we do teach children to share, right?
Sharing is caring.
Right. So, but it comes a time where, okay, yes, you're going to share, but okay, let's put a limit. It's 10 minutes. You have the toy for 10 minutes, and after that, the next child has the toy for 10 minutes. But if the child, like, say they want to play together, right? And I've seen this, we could have 2 of the same toy. And parents, when you do have more than one child, or maybe you have twins, please have more than one. Please have more than one. That in itself is conflict resolution. You have resolved what would possibly happen with your 2 twins fighting over a toy. Okay. So you want to have more than one of something in the environment, so that there's not this fight that doesn't have to be. Okay. If they both like red, get 2 red. That part. Okay. So that way you can't fight over the red, because both of them are red. Now one's blue and one's red. Yes. No, they're both red. So choose one of the red, and the other red is there, right? So, but I've seen where children, so what I'll say is, okay, so they'll say, well, I would like, can I have this toy? And so the child will give them the toy, but then when it's their turn and the child says, can I have the toy? Or the child wants the toy back, they don't want to get the toy back. So what I say to a child is, okay, or, oh, they don't want to play with me. Okay, do you feel like playing with someone all of the time? No. Okay, maybe they're having a moment. They need time to themselves too. However, I may say to the other child, if you decide to do this, don't get upset if they do it to you. This allows the children to think before they act. This allows them to think, if I keep doing this, what are the results? Because conflict resolution is, what are the results? What are the results going to be? from this. We're trying to resolve something. So teaching them to think critically, show compassion, empathy, express their emotions, all of that is going to help them be effective communicators and be able to express themselves in a way that is respectful and healthy.
That's good.
Yeah. So if you're not their parents, we admonish you to start. Just start where you are. You know, it's not gonna. Rome wasn't built in a day. Nothing's built in a day. You know, but if you have the roadmap in front of you, if you have the blueprint, then it's going to be easy to build. So we want you to have a blueprint for your home. What does that look like? What does it look like at this moment? You know, okay, 5 years, and even for when I think about like military families, or where you have a family member, or the spouse may work, you all have different shifts. All of this is conflict resolution, and you just need to let your child know what's going on, right? So, okay, the reason mommy takes you to school all the time is daddy works nights and daddy's tired in the morning.
Yeah.
So daddy has to work at night and I work during the day. Let's, go give daddy a kiss. So, so daddy knows that, or daddy's going to give you, well, it's probably going to be you give daddy a kiss, because daddy sleep. He's tired, right? So it's okay. It's okay. Or daddy's a firefighter, or mommy's a EMT. There are so many different, or they may be both doctors, right? So you have to know what works, and help. You all have to model the behavior so that your child knows that it is possible to come to a resolve.
And I also like how you brought up the blueprint of just think about the qualities you want your child to possess. And then you can ask yourself, what do I see? And that will, help you build that foundation, because all of these skills that, essentially all these skills that we have now, it started at that young age.
It really
of
did.
Really building that foundation. And that's why I feel like that's why you run into people who have trauma and things like that, because the foundation was broken at some point. So when we talk about having patience in this process to build a child's foundation, it takes a long time. And that's why people always say, when you tell them you work with children, they say you have a lot of patience.
Yes, I've been told I have patience, that I'm going to have a special crown in heaven because I work with children.
Yes.
Because
it takes a lot of patience. Like, it really does.
But it's good that you brought that up, because parents, guess what? It takes a lot of patience to raise a child. There's no, I can't, there's no other way to put it.
Because I clock out at a certain time. They go home with you. I couldn't imagine. They go in your house.
But with the tools that we're giving you, and one other thing, parent, be sure that you are making time for yourself to be so healthy for you and your family. Because if you're not taking, that's why routine is so important. So if you put the child to bed at 9:30, and you need to be, you got to be up at 6 or whatever, and you have to do some things, right? Once the child is in bed, you can take 15 minutes to yourself to just breathe. Right?
Self-care.
So within conflict resolution, even that, your self-care, you matter in this equation. Your child matters, but your child needs you, and they need you beyond today.
Absolutely.
So take a moment, reflect, and if there's some things that you need to, even in your conflict resolution, there may be some things you need to throw out, some ideologies that you might need to chuck, you know, and you may need to put in some new ones, right? And reshuffle that deck and say, okay, no, today I choose peace with my child. I choose peace in my family. I choose to have a healthy family.
Yes.
And I'm going to do everything that I can to work towards that.
And affirm yourself that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's good.
All right. Thank you. And again, we appreciate you for tuning in.